My name is Hans Schindler. I'm the Senior Director of CEP. Thank you for taking, all of you, thank you for taking the time in the morning if you're in the US, in the afternoon if you're in Europe, for taking part in this webinar.
The Titans of Tech relinquish control to recommendation algorithms because these algorithms can better manipulate users, maximizing clicks, likes, shares, and in turn, of course, profits. So this algorithmic amplification, I argue, is the root cause of the unprecedented speed and reach with which hate, divisiveness, misinformation, and conspiracies are spreading online.
In the DSA, curiously, when you talk about the audit, there's absolutely no guarantee clause except in the preamble that auditors actually have access to all necessary information in order to do this. And one can have a very long discussion whether they can actually have the ability to audit this effectively, social media. But if they don't have guaranteed access to information, you have a guarantee that they won't be able to audit this effectively.
Safety only exists when illegal content is taken down, obviously, especially in the context of extremism, hate, and terrorism. So, and that is why I was also surprised to hear that the DSA, the safety of the users rests on two pillars: the voluntary moderation of the companies and the notices by the users themselves, or the so-called trusted flaggers. This is called the notice and action mechanism.
Censorship is counterproductive, in my opinion. It's a cosmetic solution that removes the brunt of responsibility off the shoulders of big tech.
It is the case, is it not, Aaron, that it is effective still at the moment to take these people or these views off Facebook, for example,
yeah,
and put them in somewhere else. I mean, yes, you've got a less easily monitored social media environment, but it is a much smaller one that can.
Yeah, I think that's
where the sorry.
Oh no. Oh, you go ahead if you want.
Oh, well, just that smaller one is where the sort of extremism really grows. It is smaller, but it's more committed.
Right.
And as one said, Western countries are a part of what happens, so they should be part of the solution. And I think if again, this isn't to build a specific case, but if there is one thing to take away, it's not that the genocide of the Yazidis was a faraway and distant event against an unfamiliar people. It was very much a part of our own society, and to my mind, it's something that we haven't really faced up to, and we haven't addressed, and there's still so much to figure out. There's so much to learn about what happened, and it's kind of the lack of justice really is a festering wound in our societies, a moral, a psychological, and a social wound.
Member states are concerned lest ISIL increase efforts to raise its media profile, with susceptible people having been trapped at home and online. Such efforts may cause a bottle up and release effect. Threat intent may manifest in a rash of attacks when restrictions ease in various locations at different times.
And I believe that for Islamists worldwide, and particularly for political Islam and the Muslim Brotherhood, who are now on the offensive in Europe with Erdogan's backing and Qatari backing, this issue of secularism is their prime target.
Of course, we're facing in a European setting very common challenges. Just to name a few, the radicalization in and after prison, and also the exit work of those that have been incarcerated and then leave prison, dealing with returning foreign fighters, of course. Then again, as I mentioned, cooperation with religious actors.
In the book, I also tried to tell the broader story of how the pro-ISIS network in Trinidad emerged out of a split within a long-standing Islamist group in the country called the Jamaat al-Muslimin, which launched the failed coup in the country in 1990.
We looked specifically at music, not just as something for entertainment, but also to spread ideology and to make significant money. And I'll come to that in a second. We have mixed martial arts, violent sports as something that has been ongoing, of course, for decades, like music, but it's increasing in size and professionalism. We have political marches and gatherings, of course, and these rather new narratives from our perspective over the last 5 to 10 years, moving from a nationalist perspective to a white race threat perspective.
The online component has been very important for the founding of extreme right-wing organizations and their recruitment and propaganda efforts.
In Poland, there are three phenomena that we need to look at really quickly, and which are quite often seen as interconnected and quite often seen as mixing and intermingling, but in reality, they do not always exist in happy harmony with one another. And sometimes we get the image of Poland on the far right and paramilitary scene a bit wrong.